Our modern world runs on materials most people have never heard of: critical minerals. These elements are the secret ingredients in nearly every piece of technology, from smartphones to electric cars. Lithium powers batteries, rare earths make screens vibrant, and cobalt keeps batteries stable. Wind turbines, solar panels, and even national defense systems depend on these minerals. Their supply is fragile, with no easy substitutes. A shortage could halt industries, delay clean energy, and weaken military readiness. The list includes neodymium, dysprosium, tellurium, and gallium, each with a unique, irreplaceable role. Neodymium magnets drive electric vehicles and wind turbines. Gallium and germanium are vital for advanced electronics. For decades, the West focused on designing high-tech products, outsourcing the messy work of mining and processing. This created a hidden dependency on other countries for the very elements needed to build modern technology. While Western companies innovated, others quietly gained control over these essential materials. Now this oversight has become a major economic and geopolitical vulnerability. The foundation of our technological society is at risk without a reliable supply of critical minerals. Understanding their importance is key to grasping the global struggle now unfolding. The world is waking up to just how indispensable and precarious these materials are. China has spent decades building dominance over critical minerals. Through state-driven strategy, it invested heavily in mining and, crucially, processing. Today, China mines 60% of the world's rare earths and refines nearly 90%. Even minerals mined elsewhere often end up in Chinese refineries. The pattern repeats for cobalt and lithium. China processes the majority of both. This gives Beijing immense leverage. It can influence prices, favor its own industries, and outcompete global rivals. More than economics, it's a geopolitical tool. In 2010, China halted rare earth exports to Japan during a dispute, sending shockwaves through the West. China's dominance is built on low costs, lax regulations, and strategic state support. Western nations, content to avoid the environmental costs, let China handle the dirty work. Now, the West finds itself dependent on a strategic rival for the resources powering its future. This dependency is no longer just a supply chain issue, it's a matter of national security. The world's technological progress and security are tied to China's mineral empire. The West's challenge is to break free from this grip. The stakes are high and the balance of power is shifting. The question is, can the West catch up? Relying on a geopolitical competitor for essential minerals is a major risk. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed how fragile global supply chains can be. A similar disruption in critical minerals could cripple economies and delay the green transition. China has already signaled its willingness to restrict exports of strategic materials. This gives Chinese companies a home field advantage, making it hard for Western firms to compete. The West's industrial base and future technologies is at stake. There's also an ethical dimension. Much cobalt is mined under poor labor conditions, then processed in China. Western nations want supply chains that reflect their values: ethical, transparent, and secure. The goal is not just mineral security, but also upholding democratic standards. Building new supply chains is about more than economics. It's about values and sovereignty. The West is now racing to reduce its vulnerability. The challenge is urgent and complex. The outcome will shape the future of technology and power. The US is taking bold steps to break its mineral dependency on China. The Inflation Reduction Act offers major incentives for sourcing and manufacturing critical minerals in North America or allied countries. To qualify for electric vehicle tax credits, a growing share of battery minerals must come from the US or partners. This is driving investment into domestic mining, processing, and manufacturing. The Defense Production Act lets the government directly fund projects vital for national security, including rare earth processing. The US is streamlining permits for new mines, balancing speed with environmental protection. Projects like Nevada's Thacker Pass lithium mine are central to this effort, despite controversy. The strategy is about building a secure, domestic supply chain from the ground up. The government is stepping in where the market alone can't move fast enough. The US has significant mineral reserves, but developing them is slow and complex. The goal: reduce reliance on foreign sources and regain control over the building blocks of future technology. It's a race to rebuild an industry that was neglected for decades. National security, economic competitiveness, and clean energy all depend on success. The stakes are high and the clock is ticking. America is determined not to be left behind. The European Union faces the same mineral vulnerability as the US. Its Green Deal depends on minerals largely controlled by China. The Critical Raw Materials Act sets ambitious targets: more domestic extraction, processing, and diversified sourcing by 2030. The EU is fast-tracking permits for strategic mining and processing projects, reframing domestic sourcing as strategic autonomy. Major discoveries like Sweden's rare earth deposit could reshape Europe's supply, but development will take years. Recycling is a key focus, aiming to recover minerals from old electronics and batteries. The EU is also forging partnerships with resource-rich countries like Canada, Chile, and Australia. The goal builds secure, sustainable supply chains with trusted partners. Europe is looking both inward and outward to secure its industrial future. The shift is dramatic, embracing mining and processing once shunned for environmental reasons. The continent is racing to catch up, balancing green ambitions with resource realities. The outcome will determine Europe's place in the new industrial era. The scramble for critical minerals is global, sparking new alliances and rivalries. Western nations know domestic mining and recycling won't meet soaring demand. Friendshoring is the new strategy, shifting supply chains to reliable partners like Australia, Canada, and Chile. These countries offer stable democracies and high environmental standards. The US and EU are investing in their mining and processing industries, aiming to bypass China. The West is also reaching out to Africa and Latin America, offering investment with higher standards and local benefits. The G7's Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment is a direct alternative to China's Belt and Road. Resource-rich nations now have leverage, courted by both sides. The West's success depends on offering better, more sustainable partnerships. It's not just about minerals, it's about trust, technology, and long-term relationships. The world's supply chains are being redrawn along new geopolitical lines. The outcome will shape the next era of global trade and power. Breaking China's mineral dominance faces tough obstacles. Mining and processing are environmentally disruptive, sparking local opposition and legal delays. Projects like Nevada's Thacker Pass lithium mine face fierce resistance from environmental groups and indigenous communities. Balancing urgent mineral needs with environmental protection is a core contradiction of the green transition. Economically, China's low costs and state support make Western projects expensive and risky. Without government backing, many new mines and refineries aren't viable. The West also faces a skills gap. Decades of neglect have left few experts in mining and metallurgy. Rebuilding this workforce will take time and investment. China, meanwhile, has deep expertise and established supply chains. Overcoming these hurdles is essential for mineral independence. It's not just about resources, but also people, technology, and political will. The path forward is challenging but necessary. The green future depends on solving these dilemmas. Achieving mineral independence is a long-term project, often a decade or more from discovery to production. New mines face years of surveys, permits, and construction before delivering results. Processing is equally complex, requiring advanced technology and huge investment. The West is racing to replicate decades of Chinese expertise in a fraction of the time. Demand for minerals like lithium and cobalt is set to skyrocket, making the challenge even greater. The goal isn't to cut off China overnight, but to gradually diversify and reduce risk. For now, dependence on China will persist. Every new mine and refinery is a step toward resilience. The process is slow, but essential for future security. The race is on and setbacks are inevitable. The outcome will shape the world's technological and economic future. The battle for critical minerals will define the geopolitics of the 21st century. If the West succeeds, supply chains will be diversified, reducing the power of any single nation. This would secure the green transition and restore industrial sovereignty. New jobs and higher standards could follow, creating a more stable and ethical system. But failure means deeper dependence on China, with Western economies and security exposed. China's leverage would grow, shaping global policy and technology. The stakes are enormous: control over the future's cars, computers, and energy. Today's decisions are building the world of 2040 and beyond. The outcome will determine whether the future is one of shared prosperity or heightened conflict. The race is underway, and its result is uncertain. The world is watching and waiting.